Your daily dose of sports talk is here. Highlights, interviews, and analysis. From the entertainment capital of the world, Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
And we welcome you to it, this Monday edition of the show. Hope you had a great 4th of July holiday. We were kind of in holiday mode on Thursday and Friday show. We're back in the comfy confines of the Sports Wrap Studios in Las Vegas. And glad to have you with us for the next 60 minutes and a lot to get to on this Monday, recapping what took place over the long holiday weekend and what is to come. We'll be joined by Jerry Bonkowski, does a great job on NASCAR. He joins us later in the show to recap a win for Chase Briscoe at Chicagoland. Big win for Chase Briscoe at Chicagoland, his first of the season, and certainly puts him in the conversation when you talk about the top drivers this season. He's had a good year. He was just looking for a win, and he finally got one. And a great weekend for Joe Gibbs Racing there at Chicagoland. Sam Yarnell will be here. We'll get into it with him on some baseball. Also the World Cup, which we'll be talking about in just a couple of moments, among other things in the big story. LeBron James, where does he wind up? That is a huge topic of conversation right now. That is the big shoe left to drop in NBA free agency. And again, I could wind up being wrong on this. I don't think it's going to drop as quickly as a lot of people may have thought. I think he's going to take his time. He's going to let the process play out. We'll get into that. Also, a big signing for the Knicks, a good signing for the Knicks that we'll get to coming up a little later on in the show as well. But we start things out as we always do on this Monday edition of the show. It's time for the big story. And the big story is presented by the Daily Wrap, our Substack daily newsletter, available on Substack. All you got to do is take your phone, scan the QR code right there. Very simple to do, and you can subscribe. It's free. It's our afternoon newsletter that goes out. Whatever we're talking about on the show, you get a peek by looking at it in the Substack newsletter. Every afternoon it comes out. Make sure to go and subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page daily newsletter, courtesy of our friends over at Substack. I promise you will not be disappointed. For years, sports fans have repeated the same phrase whenever a controversial topic comes up. Keep politics out of sports. Remember the old Laura Ingraham, shut up and dribble? You've heard it. I've heard it. Chances are you've probably said it yourself at some point. And on the surface, I understand the sentiment. People turn to sports as an escape. They want to watch a football game, baseball game, soccer match. They don't necessarily want to be reminded of everything that's happening in Washington, D.C. But the problem is that sports and politics have never actually been separate. And the latest example is happening as we speak. Reports indicate President Donald Trump was involved in discussions around FIFA and the red card suspension of U.S. men's national team player Folarin Balogun. Now, we all saw the end result of that, the red card suspension being, the ban being suspended. But the larger point isn't what happened to Balogun. The larger point is that once again, politics found its way into a sports story. Or maybe a better way to put it, politics never left. Think about some of the biggest sports stories of the last several years. LIV Golf wasn't just about golf. It involved international politics, foreign investment, congressional scrutiny, questions about Saudi Arabia's role in global sports. College athletics isn't just about touchdowns and buzzer beaters. NIL, athletic compensation, realignment, antitrust, all of that, the courts, government agencies. And recently, Donald Trump reportedly weighed in on the future of Ravens head coach John Harbaugh when speculation surfaced about his long-term future. Now he's with the Giants. Trump applauded that. And those are just recent examples. Go back through sports history. You'll find politics everywhere. Jackie Robinson breaking baseball's color barrier, Muhammad Ali refusing military service during the Vietnam War, the 1980 Olympic boycott, Title IX, the congressional hearings involving steroids in baseball, remember that? The Supreme Court ruling that transformed college sports and helped create the NIL era we live in today. These weren't side stories, they were some of the biggest sports stories of their generation, which brings me back to this idea that we should somehow stop talking about politics when we're discussing sports. That's becoming increasingly impossible to do. Because politics isn't sitting on the outside looking in anymore. Politics is influencing who gets paid, influencing where teams play, influencing what athletes can endorse. Politics is influencing how college sports operates, influencing stadium financing, gambling regulations, international competitions, and yes, politics is occasionally influencing conversations surrounding player discipline and governing bodies like FIFA. Now, let me be clear about something. Recognizing sports and politics intersect is not the same thing as turning every sports show into a political show. There is a difference. Sports should still be primarily about sports. The games matter, athletes matter, championships matter. Nobody's tuning in because they want a 3-hour cable news program disguised as a sports show. But if politics is impacting sports, then pretending it doesn't exist isn't journalism. It's avoidance. I think that's where we've gotten ourselves into trouble. Too many people hear the word politics and immediately shut down. They assume discussing the issue means take a side. That's not necessarily true. Sometimes the job is simply acknowledging the reality. And that reality is sports, business, culture, media, law, politics. They're increasingly connected, whether you like it or not. You can't have an honest conversation about college athletics without discussing lawmakers and court rulings. Can't have an honest conversation about sports and sports betting without discussing regulation. You can't have an honest conversation about international soccer without discussing governments, diplomacy, global influence. Remember Trump, the FIFA Peace Award? And you can't have an honest conversation about some of today's sports headlines without acknowledging when politicians become part of the story. Whether that politician is Donald J. Trump, Joe Biden, a governor, a senator, a local mayor, it doesn't matter. If they're influencing the story, they're part of the story. That's not political bias. That's simply following the facts wherever they lead. So maybe it's time we retire the phrase, keep politics out of sports. Not because sports fans suddenly need more politics, but because the phrase suggests there's a wall separating the two. And that wall hasn't existed for a long time. Sports and politics aren't neighbors anymore. They're roommates. And if we're going to understand where sports are headed in the future, we'd better start talking about both of them in an honest way. And that's the big story. Sam Yarnell is here. We're getting into it with him on the World Cup. Some great matches on Sunday and more next. Welcome back to the show. I've had my say in the big story. Today I had a lot to say. This guy's already shaking his head. It's Monday morning. It's too damn early. If we're just shaking our heads this early on a Monday, where are we going to be by the end of the week, Sam Yarnell?
I don't know, Jason. I really don't know. Maybe at that point we'll be saying that Folarin Balogun is better than Messi at that point. He's better than Haaland. I mean, it is ridiculous the lengths that some of these Americans are going to credit this guy like he's one of the best soccer players in the world. Buddy, he's barely starting on the U.S. men's national team. What are we doing here? It's just really, really embarrassing weekend for America and American soccer fans.
Well, all right, hold on. Now, expand upon that. So are you saying it's not a big deal that the red card is overturned?
I'm saying it is ridiculous so a couple of things go into this, right? One, America. First of all, recognize your place. The world, the soccer gods were quite literally giving you an excuse, right? After you lose this game to Belgium, they were giving you the built-in excuse.
Wow.
You could say, oh, we didn't have one of our best players. Oh, we didn't have Folarin Balogun. What can you expect from us? We lost, but it's because they wouldn't let us have Folarin Balogun. The excuse was built in, and then the U.S. Soccer Federation tried to go to all these lengths to try to get it overturned. You had politicians getting involved, which, by the way, for those of you out there saying you don't like politicians getting involved in soccer, well, call me when you want to research the the 1935 World Cup. Once you research the 1935 World Cup, then we can start to talk about politicians getting involved and overturning things that the Federation had already said were good. Anyway, back to this Balogun thing. The other whole part of this is the screenshots that went viral of the Messi tackle from the group stage for which he was not given a card. And everyone's saying, oh, well, you didn't give Messi a card, so there's no reason you should be suspending Balogun for a match. So there is a quintessential difference that I know Americans cannot wrap their heads around. Those are different universes of athlete. That is comparing a AAA baseball player to a starter on the All-Star team. That is exactly what it's doing, Jason Page. It is comparing a guy who is having a decent season in the Eastern League to Aaron Judge. That's what it's doing. We don't do that. There is a reason that Aaron Judge's strike zone is, or I guess before the ABS challenge system was, a lot different than the guys who are getting calls coming out of AAA, than rookies, right? It's a situation that we've talked about with David Ardsma on this very show. You are not going to get that same level of respect, and asking for it as the U.S. has now gone out and done, is simply embarrassing themselves in the eyes of the world.
All right, so I am going to get you on the record now. You think the U.S. loses tonight to Belgium?
100%.
Okay, you're on the record. All right, let's talk about Norway beating Brazil. Probably the biggest win in the history of Norway, if we're talking about it here. Neymar retires after the game, so you have that headline as well. Everything that went into the drama of yesterday between Norway and Brazil, England surviving Mexico, Sam. It was a wild Sunday.
I mean, that Norway-Brazil game may be one of the matches of the tournament. It had everything. We didn't have a goal in that game until, the 80th minute, the 79th minute, and the final score was 2-1. The Neymar retiring at the end, I think a lot of people were expecting that. It was nice that I know it was a little bit cheap, and at the very end of the game, in stoppage time and a penalty, it was nice that he scored in his last game. I'll say it. I've watched Neymar for a decade at this point on the most major stages of football, of soccer, right? And it was nice to see him score in his last game for Brazil. But I'm Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland has completely arrived. He is right up there. We've been talking about Americans pretending Folarin Balogun is the Mbappe, the Messi. No, Erling Haaland is the Mbappe, the Messi class of player that is playing in this tournament, who's arrived on an international stage. Everyone who knows soccer knew about him coming into this tournament. Now everyone who knows anything knows about him. It has been incredible to watch this young man play for Norway this tournament. Yeah,
he certainly has. Mexico loses on their home soil in such a gut-wrenching manner to England. And boy, it has been the Harry Kane show in this tournament, by the way. How much fun has he been to watch, Sam?
Yeah, he's a real leader. Yesterday really was a great day for the World Cup. A couple of really good matches and a lot of really good stories coming out of them, aside from the whole Folarin Balogun thing. It's hard to say this as an American, right? But I was rooting for Mexico in this game just because of the Azteca, the fans, the way that they were playing at home, just the passion that nation has shown towards that team. It was hard not to root for Mexico in that game. And what an up and down match. I mean, there was that Jude Bellingham scoring 2 goals in 2 minutes was one of the wildest things I've ever seen watching any soccer ever. It was like Jude Bellingham scored, Mexico kicked off, England immediately had the ball, and Jude Bellingham was picking it out of the back of net immediately. It was really cool to watch, and from that point on, you knew Mexico were going to have to do everything in their power to even stay in it. Crazy story after this game, Jason. I'm not sure if you saw it. During the celebration, Jordan Pickford, one of the goalies for the English team, Jordan Pickford, the goalie for the English team who's been playing for them, allegedly broke his arm. He was jumping over one of the barriers to go celebrate. There's a video of it. It's kind of gruesome. To go celebrate with his team. He was jumping over one of those barriers around the outside of the pitch, and his arm snapped the wrong way. It was very gruesome to watch.
Oh, of all the ways to get hurt, of all the ways and all the times to get hurt, England beats Mexico by a final score of 3-2. How do you feel about VAR review in the final 45 seconds here in the way that it's used?
It's a tough question.
Yeah, I know. And I sprung it on you, so I apologize in advance. I didn't tell you I was going to ask you about that, but
we are approaching, and I said this to someone over the weekend. By the way, it was Jordan Henderson, not Jordan Pickford. It's confusing because they have two goalies named Jordan. Anyway, just with regard to the English team, the VAR thing, we are approaching, it feels like in soccer, and I know soccer people aren't going to know what I'm talking about, but Americans will. We're approaching that season that we had in the NFL where you could challenge pass interference. Do you remember that, Jason?
Yes,
there was one season where they let you, they let you challenge pass interference, and everything went haywire with the referees for that season. It feels like we're approaching that line in soccer.
We will have a full recap of the United States and Belgium on Tuesday's show, where Sam will either be eating crow or celebrating on the fact that the United States lost. Either way, it's going to make for an interesting conversation. We're coming back. Welcome back to the show. A reminder, if you haven't done so yet, make sure to check out the Sports Wrap with Jason Page website. All things Sports Wrap with Jason Page. You can check out clips from the show, the entire show, extended segments. We got the merch store coming soon. You can find your affiliate if you're trying to figure out where this show is in your market. You could send us a note. Contact the show as well. Very bottom of the page, there's a contact section. You can send me your comments as well. All of that on the Sports Wrap with Jason Page website. Sportswrap.tv. Again, sportswrap.tv. LeBron James still hasn't decided who his next team is going to be. You get the sense that he's going to draw this out a little bit. That he's going to do his due diligence, but that he wants to have the news cycle. And look, this is LeBron, for better or worse, for all the great things we say about LeBron on this show, and we love him. For better or worse, there's a news cycle here. There's a process here. There's levels to this. And he's going to draw this out and get every last bit of knowledge and information that he can get before he makes the next version of the decision. But where does he ultimately end up? That's what we're still trying to figure out. There are reportedly 10 teams. That's coming from LeBron's agent, Rich Paul. And those 10 teams are the 76ers, the Heat, the Cavaliers, the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, Mavericks, Warriors, Celtics, Spurs, and the Knicks. And the leaders in the clubhouse right now are the Cavaliers, Sixers, Warriors, and Heat. That's the sense we get right now as we sort of dissect this story. If you're talking about Cleveland, you're talking about potentially the storybook ending. LeBron goes home to Cleveland, brings another championship to the land, and everybody walks away happily ever after. I think that's actually the least likely scenario if he's trying to win a championship, because even though he improves that team, the mix, the chemistry with Harden and Donovan Mitchell, I just don't know how that works out. And I also think it really brings on added pressure to try and bring that last title in his final year in the homecoming. I just think it's a bit too much. I just don't think it's the right fit. I'm sorry to our friends watching us on Rock Nation Sports and Entertainment Network. The 76ers is fascinating. Them jumping into the fray and saying, we want LeBron. I think that is a fascinating watch here over the coming days and maybe weeks. I thought this thing might play out faster. Now I'm convinced it's going to drag out a little bit because there's no rush. Every other big free agent piece has fallen into place around the NBA right now. So to me, I don't think there's any reason for LeBron to rush a decision. We kind of know where all the big pieces are going to fit in this offseason. But to me, the 76ers are fascinating to watch as a potential contender for him, having just gotten Jaylen Brown. You pair him with Tyrese Maxey. You've got Joel Embiid, VJ Edgecombe. You add LeBron to that. It gets fun in Philadelphia for a year. The Warriors, I was just in San Francisco this weekend. A lot of buzz there around the idea of LeBron potentially landing in the Bay Area, pairing him with Curry, bringing back Draymond, Jimmy Butler. Now you got Porzingis back. It would be must-see TV for as many games as they can play together and be healthy. But what is that number? How many games can we realistically expect to see them all together? Our friend Kurt Heelan made a joke on the show last week, I believe it was, and it's kind of true. Yeah, you're going to get them on the court for 30 games, 40 games? How often will you get that big 3 or 4, whatever you want to consider it? The Miami Heat, again, another reunion story. But the way things ended with him and Pat Riley, I don't know. And LeBron holds grudges. LeBron doesn't have a short memory. So I don't think Miami is the ultimate landing spot. But again, given what they've done to upgrade that roster in the offseason by bringing in Giannis, Bobby Portis coming along with them, perhaps Miami could be an option. We know he loves South Beach. Perhaps he can be convinced. Maybe Dwayne Wade gets in his ear, says, hey, you want to go there? That's a possibility. Then there's a whole bunch of potential, outliers. Maybe the Knicks. As a Knicks fan, I'm not going to lie to you. I'd love to see him there. Now, there's something you still have to remember. When you watched LeBron last year, the attention he still commands, with or without the ball in his hands, is going to, by default, make players around him better. There's just no getting around that. Even at this advanced stage of his career, LeBron James is still going to command a kind of attention that's going to give other people an opportunity to shine. It's just a question of where he wants to end his career and feels like he has the best chance to win a championship. Does he think that's in the West with Golden State? No, we mentioned the Spurs. Could he be the final piece to a championship puzzle in San Antonio? We know he has a lot of respect for Pop, and his presence is still around that organization. It'll be fascinating to watch. Under the radar news from sports this weekend involving the Knicks, and it's this guy. No, not Karl Anthony Towns. He's staying with the Knicks. At least we hope so. It's Andre Drummond. The Knicks lost Mitchell Robinson via free agency to the Celtics, who went and gave him a lot of money. And rightfully so, Mitchell Robinson has earned it in his time with the Knicks. So what do the Knicks do? They say, hey, we got a few $1 million. Andre Drummond, want to come play in New York? The former UConn Husky, Andre Drummond, joins the Knicks. And it's a great signing. Is he Mitchell Robinson? No, but he's pretty damn close for a lot less money. And he's kind of evolved his attitude in the later stages of his career in such a way that I think he really does help this team. And it's another veteran presence, which never hurts. I love Drummond to the Knicks. You're not going to be asking the world of him, just like you didn't ask the world of Mitchell Robinson. But he's a big body out there. He can still grab your rebounds, even shoot the occasional three. Love the move by the Knicks. Certainly wanted to make sure we gave it a mention. All right, we're coming back. Sam Yarnell returns. We've got some baseball to get to. We'll do it next. All right, let's take this baby to the second half of the show. Coming up in 10, Jerry Bonkowski does a great job with NASCAR. Get his thoughts on the race in Chicagoland, where Chase Briscoe goes from second place last week to Shane Van Gisbergen to winning in NASCAR's return to Chicagoland. Sam Yarnell, let's talk some baseball. I was listening to our guy David Ardsma on Sirius XM MLB radio this weekend while I was driving around San Francisco. That was fun. While I was trying to find parking in San Francisco, which could always be fun as well. Oh, yeah, always good. Couple of baseball items I want to get to. This stuff drives me bonkers. I am a real stickler for this. When managers pull pitchers, especially when pitch counts are low. And you can tell me all day, oh, Yuri Perez, he's coming back from an injury. That was in late May. He'd thrown 92 pitches. He's got a perfecto going into the 8th inning. The A's fans are chanting shame on the Marlins skipper who pulls Perez after 7 innings. They almost blow the game, by the way, which was wild unto itself. But the Marlins do get the win. They're playing fantastic baseball, so I don't want to knock anybody. But my God, I mean, you got to know the moment we're in here. You've never had a perfect game. You're the Marlins. You got Perez out there who's dealing. So where do you fall on the idea of pulling the guy versus being cautious, Sam?
I don't. It's so. Yeah, this is one of those few things where I'm not going to fault anyone either way, because I can totally understand both sides. As stupid as it sounds, this is like the one situation where, yeah, if you wanna you understand as a manager the risk associated with every move that you make. So you have to just kind of decide in that moment on that day what is best for your team.
We're not talking about Kerry Wood here. I mean, come on.
But we are talking about Yuri Perez, who has had injury issues his entire times of prospect and career in the major leagues to date, right? And this is a guy who's on his 3rd start back from the injured list, from missing significant time. I don't know. I think it was the right decision by Clayton McCullough. I do. I hate to say it. I think it was the right decision by Clayton McCullough. And on top of maybe if the Marlins weren't the hottest team in baseball right now, then yeah, you could leave him in and try to gain some momentum. The fact of the matter is the Marlins have no need to gain momentum. They are playing better baseball than any team in the major leagues over the course of the last 2 weeks. And there is no team in baseball you can convince me is playing better baseball than the Marlins over the course of the last 2 weeks. As crazy as that is to say, there's something like 10-4 over their last 14 games. It's absolutely wild what Miami has been doing over this stretch. So yeah, I'm not faulting Clayton McCullough for pulling Yuri Perez yesterday.
They are 49-42, these Miami Marlins. They've won 7 of 10. They've won 3 in a row. They are playing fantastic baseball right now, playing well at home as well. Hopefully fans continue or start to show up and watch them as we get into the second half of the Major League Baseball season. We're already over 90 games into the season for some teams. It's wild to think about how fast this season is going by. Let them go out there and get the perfect. Go batter by batter. Just go batter by batter. That's all I want to see. I can live with batter by batter. This is an amazing thing, and we have not spent much time talking about the White Sox. I've talked about them a little bit with David Aardsma on the show. First place in the AL Central, again, almost 90 games into the season, at 47-42. And I get it, they're in a craptastic division. But 47-42 are the Chicago White Sox. And they've been doing this for a while now without Munetaka Murakami, who they're about to get back, who's going on a rehab assignment, Sam. It is remarkable that they've been, we talk about teams who struggle when their superstars go down. Case in point, the Yankees right now, who are struggling without a number of different stars. But Mooney's on his way back to this White Sox team at a time where they're already in first place in the AL Central, Sam.
Yeah, I believe they are the only team in Major League Baseball who have 3 players who have hit 20-plus homers. It is ridiculous what Chicago has been able to do this season, and not just on the hitting side, while they do have a certified young core. When you talk about Colson Montgomery, Chase Meadroth, and Munetaka Murakami, this is a team that also has gotten incredible pitching, and not from their all-star from last year, right? Like, Shane Smith has not been good for this team for large parts of this season, and they're still getting good pitching. I have been beyond impressed with the White Sox. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going to forget this guy's name. I was literally just thinking. Davis Martin. Got to give Davis Martin some credit within that pitching staff. He has been absolutely incredible for them. It's a party on the South Side, Jason Page. I am so happy for the Chicago White Sox finally coming around. They finally have a young core to build around. It finally feels like they're going to get back to the Chicago White Sox of 20 years ago.
When I go on a road trip I always buy baseball cards somewhere. I bought a package of cards this weekend. Pulled a nice little Colson Montgomery memo card, little piece of jersey inside the card.
Sick.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Nice Colson Montgomery rookie card out of a Topps pack this weekend with a piece of his jersey in there. Right team, wrong player. I was hoping it was Mooney that I was going to get because it was Series 2 Topps. So I was hoping it was a Mooney card that I was going to get. But I'll take Colson Montgomery as well. Couple of quick hitters on the way out. Detroit's won 6 of 10. Still wondering what they're going to do at the deadline. Boston's won 8 of 10. They're just 4 games out. Even less than that, frankly, of a wild card spot. 4 on the loss side, I believe. Or 3 on the loss side, something like that. Going to be interesting to watch here what happens over the next couple of weeks if Boston continues to play well. Sam, 5 seconds, go.
They're both at the bottom of the barrel right now.
There you go. Sam Yarnell, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see him on tomorrow's show. We're coming back with Jerry Bonkowski next. Welcome back to the show. Odds and Ends wraps it up in 10 minutes. The latest from Wimbledon still to come. Jerry Bonkowski does a terrific job covering NASCAR, hangs out with us Mondays on the show. We cover NASCAR on Fridays. We preview the race, and on Mondays, we give you a recap. And who would have thunk it? A week ago, we were talking about Chase Briscoe nearly chasing down Shane Van Gisbergen at Sonoma. And now he wins at Chicagoland. Jerry Bonkowski, how surprising was it to see Briscoe come out on top at Chicagoland?
Well, it was surprising in one sense, but on the other hand, it really wasn't because he's really been driving very well these last several races. Like you mentioned about Sonoma, he's been in a hot streak. It hasn't shown in the standings, other than of course what he did yesterday by winning the race. So the kid's got a lot of talent. He's very well respected in the garage. He's not like some of the other younger kids who, let's just say, don't have a lot of respect from other drivers. So it was good to see him win. But I think the other part of the story is it was a 1-2-3 JGR finish. I mean, that to me says something about how key this race was for that team and for all 3 drivers that finished 1, 2, and 3. So
yeah,
good race. It was good to see it back in Chicagoland, and it's my backyard. I was there. We had some issues with the parking there because they had bad storms Friday and Saturday, and the parking lots, which are grass, became a mud puddle. I mean, they must have pulled out at least 150 cars out of there.
Oh, God. Briscoe, Bell, and Hamlin are your 1, 2, 3 there. Alex Bowman, by the way, who won this race the last time it was there with a top 5 finish as well. And if not for some dirty air, Christopher Bell may have won this race.
Yes, I agree. I mean, but the thing, like I said earlier about the respect factor for Briscoe, even though they're teammates, they're going to do whatever they can to win, except they're not going to, throw each other under the bus or bump them into the wall or that kind of thing. It might, if it was not a teammate, they might, be a little bit more aggressive. But I give credit to Bell and I give credit to Denny Hamlin. I mean, they could have, done something a little bit more nefarious to prevent Briscoe from winning, but they didn't, and that's to their credit.
It was a pretty clean race too, wasn't it? A lot of long green flag runs in this race.
Well, the other thing too, Jason, is that if you looked in the stands, the place was sold out. I mean, the grandstands were sold out, and for a guy who's lived in Chicago his whole life, it was very heartening to see that because, excuse me, there was a lot of question marks and hesitation about whether this race would be able to be pulled off and whether the fans would come back, and the fans did come back. And it's at the point now where I think Friday or Saturday, I think it was, Dale Earnhardt Jr. said that he's been talking to people within the NASCAR officials office, and it looks like they're going to come back to Chicagoland next year. So the street course probably won't come back until 2028 if it comes back at all. But I mean, if they sell that place out again next year as well, the race in Joliet, they don't need to go to the street course. They could just come right back, and that would be very heartening to see.
Winners and losers from this race outside of obviously Chase Briscoe. We talked about JGR. William Byron didn't win, but he reminds everybody why he's a championship favorite, didn't he?
I thought for sure it was his race to win, and it turned out to be his race to lose, and he did lose, unfortunately. But But I mean, Bubba Wallace, he was leading a good chunk of the second half of the race. He really looked like a strong contender. I mean, of course, Michael Jordan, this was his old stomping ground with the Bulls for over 2 decades. So I'm sure he had some added incentive. Of course, Tyler Reddick on the losing end of things because he got into that incident where his car, he was down like 26 laps. He finished like 34th or something like that. So they had some problems with 23XI. But, all in all, it was a good race. A lot of people, when they left the stands, they were talking about how good it was to be back in Chicago, for NASCAR to be back in Chicago. And I think that, this definitely was a tone setter, in my opinion, for NASCAR, that if they do decide not to come back to Chicagoland, it's going to be a mistake. If they do decide to come back to the street course race, I think that could be a mistake too as well. So I'd like to see them come back and, I'd like to see Chicagoland be on the schedule. In fact, Dale Jr. even hinted that they might even have 2 races in Chicago every year, one on the street course, one at Chicagoland Speedway. So, it was all in all, it was, despite the weather situations we had, it was a very heartening race for sure.
Other losers, Kyle Larson.
Yep.
I mean, entered the weekend as one of the favorites, starts on the front row, never really a factor in the finish. Somebody who is expected to contend every week, especially when we're talking about intermediate tracks here, Jerry. A disappointing result for him. Where are they coming up short of the Kyle Larson standards that we expect?
That's a good question. I mean, I replayed the broadcast last night when I got home, and one of the things that was mentioned about Kyle is that he's just not driving like Kyle Larson is known to drive. I don't know if it's a thing with him. I don't know if it's a thing with his car, but I mean, Chicagoland Speedway, a 1.5 mile track, that's his bread and butter. He loves 1.5 miles. So he loves running up against the wall, in the turns and that kind of thing. I just think it was a bad one-off for him, but he's not having the kind of year that he's had when he was won the championship either, too. So he's still got a lot of races left, but it is disheartening to see how he finished. What was it, 35th, something like that. So, but he'll be back. I'm very confident he'll be back for sure. I mean, Atlanta comes up this weekend. It'll be a night race, and he loves Atlanta. I mean, it's very similar to Chicagoland Speedway. Lots of bumps, even though they did have repave. What was it, about 5-6 years ago? It still has a lot of bumps. It's got a lot of character in it. It's the same kind of track that Kyle Larson loves, and he does very well at. So I think he'll do pretty well at Atlanta.
I only have 10 seconds. Can Chase Briscoe win a championship?
I still don't think he's ready. I think maybe another year or two.
All right. Jerry Bonkowski does a great job on NASCAR, joins us Mondays on the show. Always appreciate you, my friend. Be well.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
We're coming back. More Sports Wrap. Odds and Ends is next. Okay, just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Monday. Tomorrow on the show, full reaction to the United States and Belgium from the World Cup in Seattle. I think the U.S. wins. They're undefeated in Seattle. 7-0. I mean, and I know that's Belgium's been their home base. I think they win. Anyway, we'll talk about it on the show tomorrow. And if not, you'll have this. The game may have already ended, and you can watch this and say, ha, 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 that idiot. He was wrong. We'll see what happens. A couple of reminders before we go. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast. The audio version of this show available Monday through Friday, wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can listen to this show in crystal clear audio. It works well. Subscribe today. It's free. We appreciate you doing so. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel is the place to find all things Sports Wrap with Jason Page. The Monday through Friday TV version of the show is there. Extended Conversations is there. When we have a good edition of The Big Story, I mean, they're all good. But when we have one I really like, we throw that in there as well. Extended Conversations, Sports Wrap Shorts. These are 1 to 3 minute long videos. When big news breaks, we jump in with Sports Wrap Shorts. Those are available as well on the YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, go and do it. It's easy. You got your phone on you. Just go and subscribe to the YouTube channel today. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page website, sportswrap.tv. sportswrap.tv, has everything Sports Wrap related as well. The TV version of the show, Sports Wrap Shorts, the podcast, the Substack newsletter. You can subscribe to that over on the Sports Wrap with Jason Page website, the Substack, the Daily Wrap. Go and check that out. We appreciate you doing so. All of it right there on the website. We have a contact section if you want to reach out to the show, have anything you want to let us know about, comments, complaints, criticisms, praise. We take it all there on the Sports Wrap with Jason Page website. Again, sportswrap.tv. And without any further delay on this Monday edition of the show, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, Naomi Osaka, not the end for her, but it is the end for Aryna Sabalenka, who goes out shy of the second week of Wimbledon. Osaka moving on to the second week after a win in the fourth round over Aryna Sabalenka in straight sets. Beats her in a tiebreaker in that second set. And hats off to Naomi Osaka. That is a huge win for her. Sabalenka went in there, obviously, as a favorite, not just to win that match, but to win this tournament. And now it is Naomi Osaka's turn as she tries to get back to that Grand Slam winning level. Could she do it at Wimbledon? She is now the favorite to win it on the women's side. Not by a lot. It is a big smorgasbord of potential picks over there. Osaka over on FanDuel at plus 260. Marta Kostyuk is at plus 450. Jessica Pegula at plus 500. Carolina Mahova is plus 650. Linda Noskova at plus 750. And Coco Gauff at plus 850. So you've got three Americans. Well, Osaka is, make sure I get it right, she considers herself, she hails from Japan now, even though she does a lot of her living in the U.S. Osaka considers herself from Japan, so we'll give her that. But Pegula and Gauff are obviously in there as well, as we keep an eye over on Wimbledon. On the men's side, the story still is Jannik Sinner, but don't count out this guy. The old man trying to win one more. Novak Djokovic. Jannik Sinner right now is the favorite. Djokovic beat Tsitsipas, Stefanos Tsitsipas, to advance in this tournament. And he's on to the quarterfinals, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is Djokovic. So hats off to Novak Djokovic, who's into the second week over at Wimbledon. Right now it's Sinner, minus 170. You're looking at the odds. Djokovic at plus 650. Alexander Zverev at plus 750. Taylor Fritz at plus 1100. Grigor Dimitrov is 22-1. Felix Auger-Aliassime is 25-1. So, I mean, there's a lot of guys out there. It's Sinner's tournament to win right now as far as the odds makers are concerned. We'll see what happens there. One more NBA note to get to. And look, I mean, it's dismal times for the Clippers. They're dealing with the whole aspiration controversy. They traded away Kawhi Leonard. It obviously looks like a team that's in some sort of transition right now, a franchise that's in some sort of transition away from that Kawhi Leonard era. Remember, they parted ways with James Harden during the season and packed him up and sent him off to Cleveland. They signed Rui Hachimura, so he's going to get paid, but he's not going to be in as fun a situation as he probably was in Los Angeles with the Lakers. Hachimura played really well in the playoffs, if you recall, for the Lakers. Shot the three extremely well, which helped get them through that series against the Rockets. But Hachimura signs with the Clippers. That'll obviously help them a bit in the front court. Gives them a shooter on the wing as well. We'll continue to follow this NBA offseason. Kurt Heelan is with us every Wednesday on the show, so make sure you tune in for that when we get into the NBA with our friend from NBC Sports, who heads up Pro Basketball Talk. That's going to do it for us on this Monday edition of the show. Thank you very much to Jerry Bonkowski, Sam Yarnell, all of you at home for watching. A full recap of Belgium and the United States on Tuesday's show. But until then, I'm Jason Page. That's Sports Wrap. Bye-bye.